everybody, guys, so much for tuning in to another episode of New Level Relationships. I'm your host, Martinique. The way that we make this show a lot more interactive and entertaining is that you can actually ask different questions, you can post comments, and then with this system that I'm using, Be Live, I can actually post your questions and comments on the show. But today we're actually talking about the benefit of knowing your significant other's love language. If you guys haven't found out what your love language is, it's really a great thing to know. So Gary Chapman, he's actually the author of a book called The 5 Love Languages. And in his book, he talks about 5 different love languages, if you didn't get that from the title of the book. But he talks about the 5 different love languages that allows you to really just connect with another person. And once they know your love language, then they will be able to connect with you even more. But like I said, if you haven't read that book before, it is really a good book. But the reason why I wanted Danielle and Anthony to come on the show is so you can specifically hear from firsthand from an actual couple that is going to talk to you more about the benefit of knowing their spouse's love language. So, Anthony and Danielle, if you can just let me know and let the viewers know a little bit more about yourself, as well as Danielle, your business, SOS Romance Planning and Coaching Services.
Okay. Again, my name is Anthony Price, and I've been married to this beautiful woman for almost 3 years now. So our 3rd anniversary will be in August. And I'm a banker. I've been in the banking industry for quite some time. Whenever I'm not working, I like to spend time at home, spend time with my wife. I like to travel, hang out with some friends, and just kind of relax. I like to read, and I like to stay active, work out, and play sports, watch sports. So just typical normal guy stuff. Not a whole lot to me, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, as introduced, my name is Danielle. I own SOS Romance Planning and Coaching Service. And what I do is I help married Christian women add more fun and romance in their marriage. So I'm like, my yoga teacher calls me the love doctor. But Anthony and I, like he said, we've been married going on 3 years. And so it's been a blast. It's been really fun. And my business really also is about changing the narrative that marriage is boring, because marriage is anything but boring, especially a kingdom marriage. And so I'm really happy to be here because this is one of my favorite subjects to talk about.
Excellent. And then I just want to give out a shout out to Jennifer Carroll. Jennifer said, "Hey fam." She said, "What's up, y'all?" Yeah. So how did you guys meet? I always like to know that stuff.
I'm gonna let you let you handle that one.
We met on an all-black college tour when we were in 11th grade.
Really?
And yes, and Anthony, one of my friends from 6th grade, is his really good friend. And so when she found out that we had connected on the tour, she was just like super excited. And we stayed in contact over the years. And it's just so funny that we met in 11th.
So we've been knowing each other for almost 20 years.
Right.
So,
Until 2013. Yeah, 2013. Because I knew he liked me. He just didn't want to, jump the friendship ship. He wanted to stay in the friendship zone for a while. And then he finally worked up the nerve to ask me out.
It was all a part of my master plan. It worked out.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I have a question for you, Anthony. So I know Danielle was saying that, you didn't want to move the relationship, to a different level. Do you think that was because you was nervous and you felt like maybe it wasn't going to work out, and I don't want to mess something good up?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was, because since we started off as friends and we were friends for so long, I was nervous about attempting to cross that line with her, to take it to that next level, to try to approach her just a friend, for fear that if things didn't work out, then the friendship would be ruined. And plus, back at that time, I was a different type of guy also. So I was still kind of immature, coming into my own. Didn't really have much direction. So I was kind of still casual dating and not really looking for a serious relationship. And I didn't want to approach her in that manner. So I chose to stay friends for a long time until I was mature enough and kind of worked up the nerve to be able to approach her in that way and take it to the next level.
So did you guys actually have that type of friendship where you would tell her about the relationships you were in? Because I know that I do that. So when I'm not interested in a guy, I tell him everything. But like, you know what this guy did? He was the greatest guy and all this other stuff. And then it's back in his mind, guy's head, he like, wait, but I like you. But I'd be like, anywho, what you think I should? So did y'all have that type of friendship that y'all shared? Like, that's something.
Yes, it was. He would always call me when he got himself into trouble and ask me, Danny, what should I do? I don't know what to do. So that is definitely true.
We were both very transparent with each other. And yeah, I've definitely got myself into some jams, and I would call her and get her take on it. But that's the type of friendship that we had, though.
Okay. So now we actually have a question on the floor. Jennifer said, what were the benefits of building a friendship first? Good question, Jennifer. Look at you, girl.
Benefits were that when we actually came upon the forward side of those vows, even though we've only been married going on 3 years, we've been hit hard, like right out the gate. So we were hit hard in health, and we were hit hard in our finances. And so being friends, it really helped strengthen our bond, because even when we weren't able to be physically intimate, the connection was still building and our bond was still strong because we were friends. So we were able to laugh through the difficult moments, and, you know, knowing how he is, the type of man that he is, was exactly what I needed, because I'm very emotional and he's not as emotional. So he keeps me balanced. And so being friends, we're able to be a lot more transparent with our feelings and our emotions and have a conversation, because that was important to us prior to, prior to us getting married and even dating. You know, we wanted to make sure that we had strong communication skills, and being friends definitely helped with that.
So why did you even mention the intimate aspect of it? Are you saying that you guys weren't intimate because y'all were just friends?
No, I'm saying when we were married, well, we are married, but when we were going through health issues, we could not physically be intimate for health reasons. And I find that a lot of couples, when they are not physically intimate, you know, they kind of think that physical intimacy is the only way that you can be close with your spouse, and that's not the case. You know, sometimes you literally cannot physically do it. So what are you going to do? Are you just going to let the love fade? Are you going to, you know, let the bond just fall by the wayside? No, you have to find other ways to connect. And that may be through emotional intimacy. That may be through spiritual intimacy. There's different levels of intimacy, but people often, you know, think of 4 words and, you know, oh, the sex fades, and that's not necessarily the case. You don't have to let it fade. You can still be connected and have your bond strengthened, even without physical intimacy. Now, it is important, but in the event that health issues do arise, or, you know, for whatever reason, you're just not able to do that at that moment, you can still maintain the intimacy between you guys.
That's really good. That's really good that you mentioned that. And if you're just now tuning in, we actually have Danielle and Anthony Price on the show, and we're actually talking about the benefits of knowing your significant other's love language. So Danielle actually has a business called the SOS Romance Planning and Coaching Services. And stay tuned because we are going to talk more about people. So what are you guys' love language individually?
Our love languages, they're the same. So, well, our love languages are the same. I had to double check. Before I said it. But no, it's physical touch and quality time.
But my primary is quality time, and my secondary is physical touch. So.
And that's really good that you mentioned the primary, because you guys, you actually can have multiple love languages. And Gary Chapman, the author, he talks about that in his book, you know, and he does like talk about your primary and things like that. So did you know what your love language was before the book? I know you didn't, Anthony, but for you, Danielle, did you kind of have in mind, you know, what your love language was? Or is this the very first time that you heard about love languages when you read the book?
It was the very first time I even heard about a love language. But when I started reading it, I instantly knew what mine was at that time. Mm-hmm. It made all the sense in the world what that was at that time. It's since changed, but at that time it made perfect sense.
Definitely. And you guys, if you're just now tuning into the show, make sure you go ahead and share this video now. So what do you think is actually the benefit of knowing your significant other's love language?
Well, I know for myself, knowing that her love languages are physical touch and quality time, when it came to trying to do things to make her happy, to please her, it was a good start for me to know that information about her. So it gave me an ability to be creative in how I would go about meeting her needs, knowing her love languages. So it helped out a lot. It kind of took the pressure off, like, okay, what is she like? What can I do? Is it good enough? Okay, knowing her love language, okay, I can start from here. I can start physical touch. I can start quality time, doing things together, doing things with her. And knowing the other love languages, I can kind of sprinkle in and incorporate those as well in order to try to have a more gratifying relationship.
Well, I knew that I wanted this relationship to last. And so I looked at it as, what do I need to do to keep him happy? What is going to keep him satisfied and at home and not looking elsewhere when I'm right here? Okay. Mm-hmm. So the love languages really helped me identify how I can be a better girlfriend, and also eventually, you know, a better wife. So I'm in tune to, you know, okay, if we haven't spent enough time together, I'm in tune to his moods. I know, okay, we need to spend time together, or okay, he just needs me to hold his hand, or, you know, he just needs to put his hand on my thigh just to feel that closeness. Not that it leads to sex or anything, but he just needs to feel that touch. And so it has really helped me be a better spouse ultimately, and being more in tune to his needs and his mood and making sure that he's satisfied.
That's good. That's good. So now, what do you think about, so let's act like we have a couple that's watching the show and they're really striving to, you know, honor God with their relationship, and their love language, you know, both of their love language is physical touch. What are just some alternative ways that they could possibly still satisfy that love language, but still honor God in that relationship? Because they're not married yet.
Okay. Well, with physical touch, I think the biggest thing is that you have to go into it knowing that there are boundaries, right? So you have to set up boundaries, because a little back rub for Anthony, a little head rub, that's gonna go somewhere, right? So you want to stay away from touching it, those zones, those hot spots. You want to stay away from those things. So, holding hands. How do you feel about holding hands? Is that a trigger for you? Okay, what do you think about arms being, us walking arm in arm? Is that a trigger for you? You have to communicate about what those boundaries are going to be. Be very clear about what your triggers are, because, everybody's triggers are different. And then stay within those boundaries and really commit to staying within those boundaries.
And what do you think, Anthony? Because I would really like to hear as well, just the guy perspective on that, just because, many guys are like, well, you don't test the cow out. If you don't test the milk out, how you gonna know you want to buy the cow and all that other foolishness? But like, what are your thoughts about that? With physical touch being somebody's, love language.
Well, my thoughts on it is that it's challenging. I'm going to come out up front and say it is challenging, but I do agree with a lot of what Danielle just mentioned. And what I would add is that, fellas, it takes discipline, and you know what you know where your mind is at, but you do have to set those boundaries, and you do have to communicate with your significant other to understand that boundary does exist, and you do have to be disciplined and make sure that you don't cross that line. That's really like the best advice I can provide.
Mm-hmm. And that was good advice. So now talk to the viewers that's like, oh man, we done crossed that line, but we still want to honor God. What would you guys say to them?
Well, I guess I would say pretty much you're going to have to confess your sin, and you have to know your triggers, okay? Netflix and chill is going to lead to something more. You know that, okay? Don't put yourself in that situation. When, if you kiss someone and it just goes from 0 to 100 real quick, what that feeling is like. But like Anthony said, you are going to have to discipline yourself. If that means going out on group dates, if that means no more, chilling at each other's houses, meeting in public places, you're going to have to talk about how you both are going to establish these boundaries and operate within those boundaries. As difficult as it may be, but if you are thinking about pleasing God first and foremost, then you need to be thinking about, okay, if what I am doing is pleasing God or not. And when it's not, and when it is. And so if that means that you guys need to, have a curfew, if that means that you guys don't, you only, if it's just like the urge is just too much, like Paul says, then, go have a sleepover with your girlfriend. Call your girlfriend, get you an accountability partner. There's multiple ways to operate within that space. But like Anthony said, you have to be disciplined, and you have to want to please God first and foremost. And so if that is the case, because the flesh is weak and your spirit is willing, ask God to help you, and He will. I firmly believe that He will.
Definitely. And that
Can't just leave it all up to God. You got to do your part too now.
I know you be like, Jesus, give me strength while you over there and nothing.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So when you found out what your spouse's love language is, are there times when it's difficult for you to, meet that person's needs? Because maybe you are somebody, let's say, for example, Danielle, let's act like you work, late. And so, Anthony is already in bed when you get home, and so it's like challenges like that where you can't always just meet those needs. What would you say to those individuals, those couples? Or did you have those difficulties meeting each other's needs at all when you found out what they were?
I would say for me, once I found out what her love language was, I didn't find it difficult to try to meet those needs since we have the same love languages. It was pretty easy. Like I said, it was a good starting point for me. So I know that I know what I like as far as physical touch and quality time. So it was an easy transition to figure out what ways I can demonstrate those same love languages with her. So with me, it really wasn't that difficult.
For me, because I'm very active, I have to make sure that we communicate, right? Communication is the lifeline of any relationship. And so for me, I would say, okay, Anthony, look, I have ABC going on this weekend. I'm going to be here from sun up to sundown, okay? And that's all day Saturday, and Friday I got to do setup and whatever. But Sunday, I got you. Like I would literally have to communicate, this is going to be my schedule, Friday and Saturday, but Sunday I'm making time for you. And that's what I would say. You have to make the time, and you have to be very intentional about meeting their needs. Sometimes I don't feel like having sex with Anthony. I don't feel like it, but I know that that's a need that he has. So we have to, okay, not today, but I got you tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, put deadlines on some things. Basically, that's what I have to do, because I want him to know that I haven't forgotten about you. I'm not neglecting you. It's just the timing is just a little off, but I'm gonna come back to you. You're gonna have your proper place. As soon as this stuff is done, I got you back at the top. And so for me, it's just really making sure that I communicate what is going on with me, because I know that time is important to him. I know that physical touch is important to him. So it's me letting him know, hey, I haven't forgotten about you. All is well, but we're gonna set a date for, when we're going to spend time together or whatever. And I think that definitely helps.
What I like to add is that, to just piggyback off what she said, creating this, like putting time together for us to spend time together, making it a part of our schedule, just like you would anything else, that's been working for us. It works for me. We literally have our own separate planners. And I know that for myself, if we plan a date night, if we want to plan a night where it's just the two of us, no phones, no electronic devices or anything, we put that into our schedule. We say 9 o'clock, put the phones away, put the laptops away. It's just me and you and I. Even if it's only for 30 minutes until we fall asleep, or we just want to spend an evening or something together where it's just us two. We don't even have to be out and about. We can just be in the house, just around each other, no distractions, just us. So making a schedule, and like she said, being intentional about sticking to that schedule, spending time with each other, that's important, extremely important, and it works.
And I just want to, I'm just getting really excited about just the honesty that you two are actually just bringing to the show, because it's so hard to find Christian couples that don't mind being upfront and honest about how they are going about making their marriage work, Anthony. And this is just so refreshing. So Danielle, and Anthony, if you guys don't know this, if you've never tuned into my show, that's okay. But I actually have another show called Love Chronicles of a Christian Virgin. So just with the title, I'm a virgin. And, I am saving myself for marriage. And so I've always heard about, and I just want to do this plug, but if you guys haven't watched that show either, Love Chronicles of a Christian Virgin, you can always just tune in and catch up on my episodes on my YouTube channel, which is Martinique the Storyteller. Go ahead to the description box and you can click on that, and then you can watch all of my episodes. Another thing about the description box that's so important, you can actually stay in contact with Danielle and Anthony. All of their contact information is in the description box, because you know what? I am just finding this out right now, but they are open and honest. And this is what you need. This is what you need in your life. If you are looking for a relationship coach, a Christian relationship coach at that, Danielle, you know what? It just seemed like Danielle said, we gonna get our life together. And so I just really encourage you to connect with her and just utilize her business, SOS Romance Planning and Coaching Services. So make sure, if you just tuned in, make sure you go ahead and share this video right now so other people can be blessed. Just this knowledge that they are sharing. So my question to you guys is, I've always heard about, couples saying, okay, well, we gonna have sex on April 12th. How does that work? I always thought, sex is supposed to be like spontaneous and all that other jazz, that society tells us.
It can, we made a decision or let me go back. One of the couples that we look up to as mentors, they share with us that, you need to have a regular sex life. And so what they told us was that if you don't get it in anytime during the week, then that you have to pick a day and, you just stick to that day, right? Like if you're unable for work or tiredness or whatever, then that, come Saturday morning, it's y'all's time. And that has really helped because it keeps us regular, even when during the week when we just don't feel like it. We know Saturday morning, my friends know, don't call me Saturday morning. It's off limit. Like that's our time. I mean, you can call, but we're not gonna answer. So yeah, that was something that we said we were gonna do as well in the beginning, and it's worked out for us. And then what else? It can be spontaneous. We've had midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday romp sessions. It's really up to you. Whenever you feel like getting it on and popping, I send them a text. Hey, 9 o'clock.
It's a good blend, being spontaneous and setting up that date. Now, to be honest, now I'm not setting up anything past 48 hours. Like we got to do something within like 24 to 48 hours. Like I can't, as far as a week or whatever, I can't go that long. But, so either we gonna set a date, or we gonna, like she said, Saturday morning, roll over and that's it.
I got you. That's really good. So I do have a question on the floor, and shout out to Evelyn in the house. So Evelyn's question is, how much intentional time do you guys usually put aside?
Well, we committed to having one unplugged day during the week. So we have one day during the week, one evening where when he comes home from work, I log off the computer and there's no tablets, no phones, no computer, nothing. It's just us tuning into each other. And then we also have tech boundaries around technology. We try our hardest to keep our technology to curfew. What was it? 9:30.
Yeah, we shut it down 9:30. Yeah.
We typically shut it down. And even if we're just in the bed and we're just talking and 15 minutes later, we're both knocked out. But we try to do that daily. It doesn't always work that way, but we do try to put boundaries around technology use. So if I had to put a time frame on it, I would probably say in a given week, probably about 15 hours.
Oh, hours. Okay.
Hours? You think?
Yeah. 15 hours.
Yeah. Over the course of a week, I think that's about right.
We'll say that. Yeah.
Because Friday, we're pretty much together on Fridays, most Fridays. So, yeah.
Yeah, 15 hours that's fair. Intentional.
Yeah, intentional. Yeah. You got to work hard for that quality time. I'm telling you.
It's a work in progress. It's something that even I'm guilty of, going past that 9:30 curfew, because sometimes I get home late. I'll get home 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I still want some me time.
Right.
So I've been guilty of going past that time frame, but we both have to remind each other we got to bring it back in and set 9:30. This time is for us. Just have to, again, it's just constantly being intentional about it.
Right. And if he gets home late, I understand that he wants his me time and he needs his alone time to just kind of decompress. And so, I'll just say, hey, in 30 minutes, is us, we good? And he'll be like, okay, yeah, so it's that's worked out really well. So, 9:30 is what we shoot for, but things happen and it's okay to be flexible.
I like that you mentioned the flexibility of it all, but you just had to also be patient with each other and understanding, with each other. And I feel like that's just great characteristics to have as individuals as well as, as a couple, especially with y'all as a team. But we do have LaToya. She has checked in and she actually has a question. And they pretty much answered this question though, LaToya. The question on the floor from her is, why limit a day though? How about when the feeling kick in? They do it when the feeling kick in. When they kick in, they right there. But did you want to say something about that?
I think what she's asking is why, if I'm understanding it right, why do we pick a day like on the weekend kind of thing? That was just so we could have it in, so we could get it in regularly. So, if schedules just don't align or he was traveling for work and he wouldn't get home till Friday, okay, we knew Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we were going to get it on and popping. So we don't necessarily limit it to a day, but we know that if things arise and it cannot be done Monday through Friday, Saturday morning is going to go down.
And what it does too, when you schedule that time, that quality time or that time to be intimate with each other, mentally prepared also. So, and that's something that I learned about her that works, that as a guy, I can turn it on and be like, hey, let's go. But, she doesn't get riled up the way I do, as fast as I do. I need to give her some time, give her a moment to kind of get herself together, or not get herself together, but get her mind prepared mentally, because there's like millions of other things running through her mind. So like you mentioned before, it's a matter of respecting the other person's time and being very patient. So that method has worked for us as well.
Got you. So Latoya, I think this is her, just a comment. She says, okay, so the weekends are when you spend quality time together in that manner.
Not only, but yes, like if it can't be done Monday through Friday, we will be very intentional about having that time together on Saturday, for sure. But you know, it does happen during the week and on the weekends. But if, like I said, for whatever reason, schedules just don't work out, or he's tired, or, you know, cycle time or whatever, then we know that the weekend is us.
I mean, recently, I mean, we it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't have to be weekends. It can be, like she mentioned, during the week, any day of the week. It doesn't matter. We were just at an outing, last Thursday, hanging out, just kicking it, enjoying each other's time, and just being out and about. So it's just whenever our schedules would allow us to get together on that day, if it's a weekday or a weekend, that's something that we both can agree on.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about sex, okay? Just be clear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is great. But you know what? Because so many times, you know, as single people, we hear how much work, you know, it takes to make a marriage work. But we just hear that generalized. We don't hear the specifics of the planning and the scheduling and, you know, the things that makes up the successful marriage. And so that's why it's so beneficial, not for you all, because you all do it and you do it well, meaning that you don't mind sharing with others the knowledge of how to make it work. But that's why we really, as singles, we need you all, people that's in relationships, people that's married. We need you all to give us that knowledge of what has worked in your marriage, what has not worked in your marriage. And don't so much look at it as, oh, they're going to know all of our business. But if you could just look at this as you are helping the next couple, you are helping the next individual to have a successful relationship. I hope y'all look at it like that, because and I don't want to make it sound like I'm a train wreck or anything like that, but I need that. You know, I need to know what is, you know, things that's going to work and may not work. And I'm not going to make it sound like, you know, I look at your marriage and I know for sure this is what I'm going to practice. But there's nothing wrong with trying something out in your relationship, seeing if it works. If it doesn't work, that's okay. But there's sometimes different principles that you can learn from somebody else, from somebody else's relationship, that you can begin to implement in your own relationship. And, you know, your significant other might be like, girl, where you learn this from? So, you know, so just be mindful of these things and really just be intentional about practicing different things to really just make your relationship a lot stronger. Because some of you guys might be watching this and say, I don't need to learn nobody's love language. I know what makes her tick. I know what she like, or I know what he like. But that's not the truth. It's nothing wrong with growing stronger and closer together. So what do you say to those individuals that's watching the show that's like, I don't need that love language stuff. We good.
We good, right? Well, I would say to that person, how do you know you're good? What are you basing that off of? How do you know? Like, seriously, how do you know? Because what you think a person may like, or what you think a person you may think that person likes, may not be the case. You're going off of your previous history with a totally different person, and that's what you're bringing into the relationship, but you're in a relationship with a totally new person. And so you have to, really make it a point to always be a student of your significant other, your spouse, in our case. That was something that the Lord got on me about, Danielle, you never sat down and asked Anthony what he liked. What does he find romantic? What does he find pleasurable? That sort of thing. And so I had to own up to the fact that I never asked him those questions. And so how do you know unless that person tells you, right? And what are you basing that off of? You're just going off of your previous history, and it may be two totally, completely different people. I know I changed in my love language when I was younger, in my 20s, even, dare I say, most of my life. My love language was gifts, receiving gifts. That's how I knew that you loved me or you even liked me, was that you bought me something. Shoes in particular, okay? But that's how I knew that's how I received love. As we've discussed, that's changed to quality time and physical touch. Just continue to give me gifts. I mean, but am I really going to feel like you 100% love me or you even really know me? No, I'm not.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
I know. Speaking from a male standpoint, I'm always of the mindset, look for different ways to get better, to improve, to step your game up. So and that doesn't stop even when you're married.
Mm-hmm.
So you always want to look for different ways, different sources that can help you be a better man, a better husband, a better provider, just to be better across the board. You'll feel great about it, and you'll definitely your significant other, your wife, your girlfriend, she'll definitely have a newfound respect for you. I feel that it'll bring you two closer when you're looking for different ways to enhance your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that, I think that like once you feel like, oh, I'm good, I'm straight, when you kind of like feel like you plateaued or you good, you don't really need any more knowledge in one area, you stop growing in that area. And after a while, after a long period of time, the relationship can get stale, like you said, because you're doing the same things over and over. Do you really know me? Do you really care? Like, are you even trying to get better and trying to make this relationship better? So it's always good to look for different ways to just to get better, a better person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think another thing that's really good that you mentioned is you just can't become comfortable, with that person and then, just begin to take them for granted. Like, they'll be there. No, and I think that that's what we begin to do, just in relationships in general. And, then that's when people start to look at other people and things like that, so guys and females, don't be sleeping because somebody else is woke. How about that? So Danielle, as a relationship coach, how would you help that other person in the relationship that doesn't really see the benefit of knowing the other person's love language? So we're going to act like this client has came to you and say, Danielle, I don't need to do all that.
Okay. Well, the first question I would ask them is, So you're saying to me that you are comfortable not learning anything new about your spouse or your significant other. So you're okay with things progressing the way that they are for the next 30, 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I would start. Because like Anthony said, when you make a decision to stop learning, you're going to plateau. And everything is just going to get stale from that point on. And are you okay with your spouse feeling as if you do not care about them? That you don't care enough about them to get to know them personally, intimately, deeply? You're not trying to deepen the intimacy between you guys. I think that's problematic. And they're going to wind up looking elsewhere for that satisfaction. Because if you don't show them that you care about them, if you don't show them that you're interested in them, that you value them as a person, then they're going to that they feel valued and they feel loved and they feel cared for and they feel respected. So I was asked that person, are you okay with things remaining the same for the next 35 years? And are you okay with the end result of that being you losing your significant other or spouse?
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. And I'm just glad that you pointed that out, because it really does boil down to does the person care any longer? And I think that the sad part about it is, that's one of the reasons why I created this show, is so that viewers can see that Christian relationships can work. If you begin to implement skills within the relationship, then you can make this relationship work. And I wanted to bring Christian coaches on the show that gives the viewers these practical things that they can begin implementing in their relationships. But the first thing has to be, you have to care, because if you don't care, then I can't make anybody drink water, And so I think that's like the whole gist of it. The person has to care. And
Absolutely.
I think that people have given up because they no longer care. But I think one of the biggest things, especially with marriage, is you guys have made a promise to each other that through thick and thin, good and bad, we need to continue to care, for better or worse. And this ain't no 10-year thing. This is supposed to be for death do us part.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
because you don't know what's on the other side of those vows. We didn't know that 2 months after we took those vows, I would be laid off, or we didn't know that 2 years after that, I would have to have surgery. I would have all these uterine issues. You don't think about those things. You think about, oh, if they get sick, I'll take care of them. But you're not thinking about cancer. You're not thinking about, unemployment, loss of finances, the emotional battles and things like that. You're not thinking about that kind of stuff. But it's a very real marriage. So when it says for better or worse, to have and to hold, are you literally going to have and hold this person for the rest of your life? So choose wisely. This ain't no this ain't no cakewalk.
This marriage thing is not for the weak. It's not for sissies.
Oh my gosh, Anthony. We came from a marriage conference this weekend, and that's what somebody said. But it's true though. You can't be selfish. It's not for selfish people. It's not for people who all about me. It's about serving somebody else. It's about, putting his needs above my own at times, and making sure that he's happy. Are we good? Do we have peace in our home? Whatever else is going on outside can be fixed and it can be dealt with as long as he and I are intact. If we off balance, everything else stops.
Oh yeah, and I mean, we get married, and now two becomes one. So, in that sense, marriage is a team sport always. So, even when she was going through her, she had got downsized from her job, and she was going through her surgery and things like that. She's not alone. I'm there with her. I'm going through all that too. It's not like, okay, well, yeah, you're doing that on that's your thing, that's your problem. Nah, I'm going through that just as well. So, like she said, I have to be there for her, to support her, to provide and be there emotionally for her. So, and it's challenging, but it's certainly worth it. For you two to go through that and experience that together, and you to still come out on the other side winning.
Definitely. And Danielle, if you could just let the viewers know about your business again, SOS Romance Planning and Coaching Services, specifically what your service is about and who you target.
Okay, so I target married Christian women, okay? Those women who struggle to make time, those women who want to be more romantic but maybe have a fear of it, those women who don't know how to talk to their mate about romance and intimacy. Those are the women that I work with, and those are the women who are part of my Facebook group. I also have a small group coaching program for those women. It's only 4 ladies, okay? 4 ladies that I work with over the course of 2 months. And we delve into overcoming those romantic fears, how to communicate, as well as developing long-term romantic habits. Because I just don't feel like romance should be a one-time event, during birthdays or anniversaries. No, it needs to be a thread in your marriage. It's a beautiful thing. It's something that is talked about in the Bible. And I know we don't talk about it a lot in church, but for married couples, especially married women, I know what it's like to have to balance a work life and a home life and a love life. It requires a lot, but you have to be intentional about it. So that's what my business does. I also plan date nights and staycations and weekend getaways for couples as well. So if you're, you have an anniversary and you just want to do something like local, I can help you with that. Or if you just want to get away completely, I do that as well. So all facets of romance.
Yes,
that's so funny.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And he's my tester. So I test out a lot. Like I make sure that the advice and the strategies that I give work. Okay. They're not something that I haven't tried. They're not something I talk from personal experience because I know what it was like to be running literally from sun up to sun down and just feeling like, I don't have the energy. Like I literally don't have the energy. I don't work all day. I got to come home, cook, take care of him, do laundry. Like, how do you fit all this stuff in? So, I've a lot of what I discuss comes from our experiences. It comes from my talks with the Lord about how I can be a better wife and how I can be a better mate to Anthony and things like that. How can I balance my life? So yeah, I do make sure that I'm talking from personal experiences, and I do make sure that I don't give anything away that I haven't tried myself. And so he's a benefactor of all this because
I reap the benefits of all that.
Because Because I'm always like, what do you think about this? And let's try this, or that sort of thing. So it keeps our love life spicy too. Now we do have a hot and holy bedroom, y'all.
Absolutely. Better.
Hot and holy.
I stole that from somebody, and I was like, oh, I just love that. But it's true though.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I just want to thank you guys for just being on the show again. You have just been such a blessing to me. And I don't say this word to a lot of people, but you guys have just been very refreshing to listen to, and really just your transparency, really just helps myself as well as maybe some of the viewers to see that, we all struggle, but there is help. And so that's why I'm so thankful that I was able to connect with you, Danielle, and that you said, well, Anthony could be on the show too. I'm like, hey, this is gonna be such a good show. And it really
we're a package deal. A lot of times we're a package deal.
This is so good. Y'all need to take this show on the road. But
and we'll see if he's open to it.
I know that's right.
Bring the show down. I'm gonna let you go ahead and do it. So this the love doctor over here. I just do my part. From there.
He's an awesome supporter. I could not do this or anything else without him. So right. Yeah, he's definitely number one fan over here.
Team Price over here, yo.
That's good. That's so good. So I'm definitely going to have you guys on the show again. Just so we can just talk about another topic that I know couples possibly struggle with, and I just know it's going to be another great show. We had some great comments, and I thank you all for just taking time to watch the show and just giving us some great comments and questions as well. I hope you all have a great night, and we'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.